Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's just get right into it, because today we are tackling an absolute beast of a topic from the Cambridge Information Technology 9626 syllabus. We're diving deep into topic 1.5, real-time processing and microprocessor-controlled systems, and we're specifically looking at how these systems operate in greenhouses and central heating. Now, be honest with me. Have you ever opened up a past paper, stared down a massive, intimidating 8-mark question on this exact topic, and felt your mind just go completely blank? Yeah, we've all been there. You are in exactly the right place. To really master this, we need to talk about two very different types of students. Imagine them in your head right now. First, there's Alex. Alex is basically a walking textbook. Alex knows every definition, right? But in the exam hall, Alex completely overloads every single answer with raw, unfiltered facts about microprocessors and sensors, and provides absolutely zero critical analysis. Then, on the other end of the spectrum, we have Sam. Sam is constantly racing the clock, rushing through the paper in a sheer panic, completely missing the specific command word requirements and throwing away easy points left and right. Here's the thing. Both Alex and Sam are working incredibly hard, but they're basically playing checkers. Today, I'm going to teach you how to play chess. We are going to approach this entire IT paper like a chess grandmaster. That means we're going to think 5 moves ahead and, crucially, anticipate the examiner's exact mental moves. We're going to transform the way you process information and lock down those top marks. Are you ready? Let's do this.
Right. I want you to listen to this harsh truth. This is pulled straight from the official Cambridge Principal Examiner reports. Quote, "The classic mistake is providing generic answers not specific to the question context." End quote. Look, examiners are reading thousands upon thousands of papers. And trust me, they can spot a memorized, copy-pasted textbook answer from an absolute mile away. It's like a neon sign on your paper. When you get a specific scenario, let's say a question about an automated greenhouse, and your answer just defines what a sensor is without actually talking about the soil moisture or the humidity of that specific given greenhouse, you are walking straight into a massive trap. Students literally lose easy marks every single year because they fail to anticipate what the examiner is actually testing. Listen closely. They are not testing if you know what a computer is. They are testing whether you can take that theoretical knowledge and apply it directly to a dynamic, messy, real-world scenario. If you don't anchor your answer to the context, you don't get the marks. It's that simple.
So, here is our playbook for today. We've got 4 steps. First, the challenge. Second, the top examiner traps. Third, our procedural framework. And fourth, mastering critical analysis.
Okay, let's dive into section 1, the challenge. We're going to look at core concepts in theoretical architecture.
So why exactly do students find multi-stage analysis and grabbing those method marks in IT so incredibly difficult? Well, it's because real-time processing isn't just a one-and-done single event. It is a continuous, dynamic loop. It's always happening. When a microprocessor controls a system, whether it's precisely managing the delicate climate inside a greenhouse or regulating the heavy-duty central heating in a massive office building, it is constantly receiving input, crunching and processing that data, and outputting physical actions through actuators. It never stops. Now, exam questions on this topic rarely ever just ask you for a simple definition. You actually have to explain the journey of the data to get those method marks. And this brings us to what we call theoretical architecture. I want you to think of this as the absolute bedrock of your IT knowledge. Top-performing students, the ones getting those A stars, they don't just memorize isolated flashcard facts, they exhibit a deeply connected conceptual understanding that transfers seamlessly to entirely unfamiliar contexts. This foundation rests on 3 things: precise definitions, causal relationships, and syllabus integration. If you truly deeply understand the theoretical architecture of a continuous feedback loop, you instantly know the whole sequence. You know that a sensor gathers analog data from the physical world. You know an ADC converts it to digital so the system can understand it. Then the microprocessor compares that digital data to a preset parameter. And finally, if a specific condition is met, a signal is sent to an actuator to physically change the environment. Boom. Once you grasp this architecture, you can literally conquer any scenario the Cambridge examiners throw your way.
Before we continue, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon right now.
Moving right along to section 2, top examiner traps. Now that we've got the architecture down, let's talk about what absolutely not to do.
Knowing the right answer is honestly only half the battle. Knowing how to navigate the psychological minefield of the exam paper itself, that's what separates the average grades from the absolute top tier. These are the top 3 mistakes, pulled directly from Cambridge Examiner alerts. Number 1, wrong approach for the wrong context. What does this mean? It means applying a batch processing concept to a real-time processing question. You have to remember, real-time means the processing happens immediately, within a guaranteed, strict time frame, to actually affect the source. Number 2, forgetting to check format and presentation. If a specific question asks you for a comparison and you just write 2 completely isolated separate paragraphs without ever logically linking them together, you lose points. The structure of your answer matters just as much as the content. And number 3, answers aren't specific to the context given. As we mentioned earlier, this is the biggest one. It's the ultimate trap. If the scenario they give you is strictly about central heating and you suddenly start rambling about automated window motors used in greenhouses, you are essentially screaming to the examiner that you just memorized the past paper instead of actually reading the current one in front of you. Don't be that candidate.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how clearly it illustrates the difference between an average answer and a genuinely brilliant one. Let's look at the generic definition first. Our friend Alex from earlier might write something like, a sensor takes in data and sends it to the microprocessor to make a decision. Now, is that technically true? Yes. But guess what? It gets 0 context marks. Absolutely none. Now let's jump over to the context-specific analysis. A top-tier Grandmaster student writes this. The analog temperature sensor in the greenhouse continuously sends data through an ADC to the microprocessor. The microprocessor compares this digital value to the preset temperature of 25 degrees. If it is lower, it sends a signal to the actuator to turn on the heating element. Wow. Do you see the difference there? The second answer takes that theoretical architecture we just talked about and anchors it directly into the dirt and heat of that specific greenhouse scenario. That right there is exactly why the method mark is awarded. And honestly, it perfectly uses the PO framework. Point, evidence, explanation, link. It's a structured, bulletproof response.
Let's move on to Section 3, the procedural framework. This right here is your method mark strategy.
Think of this framework as your absolute magical weapon for the exam. It's a foolproof, step-by-step methodology to build the perfect answer sequence and basically extract every single possible mark from a microprocessor-controlled systems question. Remember, examiners heavily award marks for the process itself, so we are going to strictly standardize how you process these questions in your head. Step 1. Identify key elements. First thing you do, what are the sensors? What exactly is the environment? What are the specific actuators available? Step 2. Apply relevant principles. This is where you recall that continuous feedback loop and the critical ADC conversion process. Step 3. Execute analysis with clear working. You literally walk the examiner step by step through the data's journey, just like we did with that beautiful greenhouse temperature example a minute ago. Step 4. Verify results. This is your reality check. Look at your own logic. Ask yourself, does it logically make sense that the heater turns on if the room is already too hot? No, of course not. If it doesn't make sense, fix it right then and there. And Step 5, present in appropriate format. Use the correct, high-level IT terminology. Please, don't just say the computer turns on the heater. No, say the microprocessor sends a signal to the actuator. Speak their language.
Stop scrolling. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. We've helped thousands of students improve by 2 to 3 grade boundaries. Join them right now by subscribing to @acetheexams_IGCSE and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly exam strategy sessions. So the crucial point we are driving at here is that you absolutely must become a master of data interpretation under severe time pressure. When you are staring down a complex exam text or a dense table of system parameters, you must instantly kick into gear. First, deconstruct the question. Literally circle the command words on the paper. Are they asking you to describe, or to evaluate, or to compare? Those words totally change what you write. Next, extract relevant data. If the question specifically gives you a preset humidity level of 60%, then that 60% number absolutely must appear in your written answer. Then, select your analytical framework. Like the PL method we talked about, use it to structure your thoughts. Execute your answer with clear notation. Make it easy for the examiner to read your logic. And finally, always present with the correct terminology. It's microprocessor, not computer. It's actuator, not motor. It's an analog to digital converter, not a translator. Using these highly specific words literally triggers marks in the examiner's grading rubric.
We have arrived at Section 4, Mastering Critical Analysis. Let's step into our interactive workshop and really test these skills.
So picture this. You're in the exam hall. You definitely don't have all day. You are working against a relentless ticking clock. You need a time management matrix totally embedded in your brain to quickly structure a high-level comparative answer. Let's say the exam throws a curveball and asks you to compare real-time processing in a greenhouse versus a central heating system. You cannot just list a bunch of facts about the greenhouse and then list a bunch of facts about the heating system below it. That's not a comparison. A true comparative analysis demands that you identify the similarities and the differences, and here's the kicker, you must merge them using comparative connectives. For similarities, you compare system traits. For example, point out that both environments fundamentally rely on microprocessors and sensors. For differences, you contrast constraints. A greenhouse is complex. It manages multiple, overlapping variables like light, humidity, and temperature, whereas a central heating system typically only manages temperature. And this brilliantly illustrates the final piece, the connectives. You must use linking words like whereas, in contrast to, or similarly, to link your arguments logically. This is how you draw mature conclusions about their relative complexity and prove to the examiner you are thinking critically.
Okay, I need you to memorize this right now. We call it the deconstruct, solve, evaluate mantra. This is your absolute ultimate framework for tackling those higher-order, tricky questions where the examiner wants to see if you can evaluate alternatives. Imagine a 60-second visual countdown timer right on your desk. If I give you a flawed system, let's say a central heating system that is severely wasting energy, you must instantly use this mantra. First, deconstruct. Identify the given information directly from the text and break the problem down into logical steps. Next, solve. Systematically trace the error in the system. Is the temperature sensor placed too close to a drafty window, causing the microprocessor to constantly incorrectly trigger the actuator? Finally, evaluate. Check for reasonableness and make justified recommendations. You would write something like, to optimize energy efficiency, the temperature sensor should be relocated away from external drafts, allowing the microprocessor to receive accurate ambient data. My friends, that right there is a true grandmaster answer.
Look at this slide. I want to draw your complete attention to this number, 2. This isn't just some random digit we threw on the screen. This is our social proof, fully backed by data, showing exactly what happens when students stop blindly memorizing textbooks and actually start anticipating the examiner. Students who actively implement these precise real-time processing strategies, the ones who decode command words, who religiously use the Peel framework, and who apply the deconstruct, solve, evaluate mantra, they see an average improvement of 2 full grade boundaries. Let that sink in. That is quite literally the difference between getting a C and getting an A. But here's the catch. It only happens if you internalize this procedural framework and practice it consistently. You have to put the reps in with past papers.
Here's your final reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at Ace the Exams IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Subscribe right now to at Ace the Exams IGCSE and click that bell. Don't let another exam pass you by.
We've covered a ton of ground today. The core theoretical architecture, the dangerous examiner traps, and the step-by-step procedural framework. Drop a comment below with your target grade for Information Technology 9626 and the biggest challenge you're facing. Our team responds to every comment. Like and share this explainer with a study partner. Ace the Exams. Your Cambridge success starts here. And remember, the next time you look at a smart thermostat or an automated greenhouse, will you just see a machine, or will you see the continuous, invisible data loop happening 5 moves ahead? Think like a grandmaster. See you next time.